Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhman coming up in the next 30 minutes. Reformist Masood Pezeshkian elected Iran's president, vows to deal with flagging economy. US President Joe Biden says he won't quit the presidential race, asserts he is the best candidate to take on Trump. After World Cup victory, all eyes on Gen Next of Indian cricket as young team under Shubhman Gill starts 5-match T20 international series against Zimbabwe. In Iran, the low-profile moderate Masood Pezeshkian has won the country's runoff presidential vote. Pezeshkian defeated hardline Saeed Jalili in Friday's second-round presidential vote. The runoff on July 5th followed a June 28th ballot with historically low turnout when over 60% of Iranian voters abstained from the snap elections for a successor to Ibrahim Raisi following his death in a helicopter crash.
Pezeshkian, the 69-year-old cardiac surgeon, has pledged to promote a pragmatic foreign policy, ease tensions over now stalled negotiations with major powers to revive a 2015 nuclear pact and improve prospects for social liberalization and political pluralism. He managed to win with a constituency whose core was believed to be the urban middle class and young.
The total number of votes from within and outside the country is 30 million in the following order. Mr. Masood Pezeshkian had 16,384,403 votes and Mr. Saeed Jalili had 13,538,179 votes. Based on this, Mr. Masood Pezeshkian is introduced as the elected person of the 14th round of the Islamic Republic of Iran's presidential election.
Pezeshkian's views offer a contrast to those of Raisi, a Khomeini protege who took a tough stance in now moribund negotiations with major powers to revive the nuclear deal. Pezeshkian has vowed to revive the flagging economy beset by mismanagement, corruption and US sanctions. However, under Iran's dual system of clerical and republican rule, the power to shape key state policies, including foreign and nuclear affairs, ultimately rests with Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the nation's 85-year-old supreme leader, who is the final authority on top matters of the state. In TV debates and interviews, Pezeshkian too has promised not to contest Khamenei's policies. While the result is expected to have little impact on Iran's policies, the president will be closely involved in selecting the successor to Khamenei. Bureau Report, DD India.
And DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre joins us live for more. Akshay, what does Masood Pezeshkian's win mean for moderate politics at home and abroad for Iran, given that Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who is said to wield real power?
Well, absolutely. As far as Mr. Pezeshkian is concerned, he though has become president now, it is in the past twice that he has attempted to contest for the presidential post in 2013 and 2021, whereas in 2013 he himself withdrew. In 2021 his candidature was rejected. He became eligible to contest in 2024 and has now become the next president of Iranian Republic. When we are talking about all sort of the politics, the domestic politics of Iran is concerned, as far as the moderate politics goes, it is a boost in the arm for the moderate politics politicians, moderate politics of Iran, because Mr. Pezeshkian has been, in fact, a leader who has advocated moderate politics in the country. That is, in fact, seeing tension from all sort of neighbors, given the fact that Israel-Hamas war continues today. Iran has also been at the forefront as far as the spillover is concerned. So it's not just the conflict, but the domestic politics has also been in turmoil for Iran, and that is the challenge that Mr. Pezeshkian has to meet. If you look at his domestic career as well, first he was conscripted into the army.
Okay.
Then there during the service in the Iranian armed forces, he was drawn towards medicine. He became heart surgeon, and then also taught physiology in the colleges of Iran. He speaks Kurdish. These are some lesser known facts about Mr. Pezeshkian. He speaks Azerbaijani. He was born in Azerbaijan to an Iranian Azerbaijani father. He speaks Azerbaijani. He speaks Kurdish. So it seems that a person with such knowledge, such experience, will be taking a growth agenda, development agenda forward as far as the Iranian politics is concerned. So it remains to be seen that how he will try to bring forth his own views, given the fact, as you rightly mentioned, that real power rests with the Supreme
And what are
Leader
the expectations, Akshay, from President-elect Pezeshkian on India-Iran relations?
Well, that's a very important question as far as the Indo-Iran relations are concerned. We have seen that in the past few years as well, the Indo-Iran relations were again, going up as far as Chabahar port project is concerned. And India has been trying to work, despite the heavy sanctions that have been put on Iran by the Western nations. With Mr. Pezeshkian coming to the presidential power, he has been a leader that has been considered a more moderate leader, a leader that is open to talks with the West. That will in fact reach out to the West as far as the tensions are concerned, the sanctions are concerned. So if the sanctions are lifted, Shubhendu, it is going to be a massive news as far as Indo-Iranian relations are concerned as well, because most of the trade is limited because of the sanctions that have been put on Iran. And if these sanctions were to go, then we can see a boost in the Indo-Iranian relations, and that is going to be good news for both the countries. Back to you.
Akshay, thank you for joining us with those updates. Moving on, US President Joe Biden has dismissed concerns about his re-election bid in November, calling his presidential debate against Donald Trump a bad episode. Biden made the remarks in a television interview on Friday, noted that his shaky performance was due to poor preparation, exhaustion and illness.
It was a bad episode. No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted. I didn't listen to my instincts in terms of preparing, and I had a bad night.
And further, Biden asserts that he still is the best candidate to take on Trump, insisting that only Lord Almighty could persuade him to exit the race.
I convinced myself of two things. I'm the most qualified person to beat him, and I know how to get things done. Well, yeah, sure. Look, I mean, if the Lord Almighty came down and said, Joe, get out of the race, I'll get out of the race. The Lord Almighty's not coming down.
Biden's comments came after his Democratic Party leaders urged him to step down a low approval rating that's been dominating. Meanwhile, a delegation of Democratic governors met Joe Biden following last week's debate performance that raised concerns about US President's mental fitness. Among them was California Governor Gavin Newsom, a longtime ally of the president. While Newsom's team says California Governor was there to stand with Biden, he's also been seen as a possible replacement. DD India correspondent Ara Spitzer reports from San Francisco.
With simmering concerns over Joe Biden's lackluster debate performance, speculation continues to grow on who might step in if the 81-year-old president bows out of his re-election bid, even though he insists he won't.
To the state of
One candidate often mentioned is California Governor Gavin Newsom, who's made a name for himself with his fierce criticism of Republicans like former President Donald Trump.
The governor and his team have positioned himself as a national leading Democratic voice and figure, someone who won't take sand kicked in their face by Republicans.
However, it's another Californian who may stand in Newsom's way.
The problem is that his political cousin is the vice president of the United States, and that's Kamala Harris from California.
The vice president, whose mother was from Chennai, India, has faced questions about her viability as a candidate on the national stage. Still, her supporters believe that she should be first in line if Biden falters.
You know, listen, she's the vice president. She's a black woman. That's very important in the Democratic Party. It's very important to the Democratic voter base. She's been underestimated most for her life, and she's done very well for herself. And I think she'd still be a very formidable candidate if she was at the top of the ballot.
A dream built on pushing boundaries.
Polls haven't shown that the vice president is weaker than other candidates, like Gavin Newsom, but the situation may change rapidly. However, the challenge from Harris and other leading Democrats like Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer isn't the only issue for Newsom in a potential presidential bid. One of the biggest problems for the California governor is that the state he has led for the past 5 years is currently viewed negatively by many Americans due to issues such as homelessness and crime. However, at 56 years old, more than 2 decades younger than both Joe Biden and Donald Trump, Newsom may be well positioned to energize voters concerned about the ages of the current candidates. Ira Spitzer reporting in San Francisco for DD India.
Let's turn to news from the United Kingdom. UK's new Prime Minister Keir Starmer will hold the first meeting of his new cabinet on Saturday. He begins his tenure after a landslide victory. Keir got straight to work on Friday as he met King Charles, was formally named Prime Minister, assembling the country's first Labour cabinet in 14 years. The Prime Minister confirmed Rachel Reeves as Britain's first woman Chancellor and Angela Rayner as Deputy Prime Minister. He pledged action to fix the country, not just words, and said the improvements would take time. The centre-left Labour won a massive majority in the 650-seat Parliament. France will head to legislative runoff election on Sunday as voters face uncertain political future. The leading far right is unsure to garner enough National Assembly seats for an absolute majority, which can result in a political deadlock. Marine Le Pen's Eurosceptic anti-immigration national rally topped the parliamentary election's first round, opening the prospect of a far right leading a French government for the first time since World War II. Whereas striving to impede the far right, France's political parties have scrambled to form alliances. Earlier, French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal and Culture Minister Rachida Dati joined a presidential party candidate on the last day of campaigning on Friday to drum up support ahead of a cliffhanger runoff. Parties across the political spectrum urged French voters to vote massively on Sunday.
The difference between us and the others is that we are not ready to promise everything and anything to be elected. If you listen to the opposition parties, we could reduce all the VAT rates, remove taxes, raise all spending, and do it all like magic. But in reality, these are lies. They are lying to the French. The day after will be terrible. Let me tell you, we are proposing a program that is credible, serious and ambitious for the French.
The far-right National Rally is said to be the biggest party in Parliament based on polls ahead of the second round of the French general elections on Sunday. If they win an outright majority, France would have its first far-right government since the Second World War. But rival parties on the left and the centre hope their voters come together to block the National Rally's path to power. DD India's correspondent Ross Cullen gets us more.
France is in uncharted territory. Following the first round of the snap general election, the far-right National Rally Party is now the dominant political force in the country, even if they do not secure an outright majority in the upcoming second round. Jordan Bardella, who is of Italian and Algerian descent, represents the new face of the National Rally. He's 28 years old, was raised by a single mother, and is popular on TikTok. But for Jordan Bardella to be Prime Minister, in the event that the far right wins an absolute majority, there would have to be a so-called cohabitation agreement of power sharing between him and the anti-far right centrist President Macron. And Emmanuel Macron's once powerful Renaissance party is fading from view, projected to come third in the second and final vote. The leftist coalition, the New Popular Front, came second in the first round of voting. Its politicians have ambitions of their own for the runoffs. Despite four parties jostling for space under one umbrella, the alliance aims to create an upset, win a majority, and install a left-wing prime minister. Although the financial markets rallied after the first-round election results pointed towards a hung parliament, the political climate in France remains tense, with the potential for anti-nationalist demonstrations if the far right do take power. Ross Cullen in Paris reporting for DD India.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Efforts to secure a ceasefire in Gaza gain momentum. (123rd birth anniversary of Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee). And in badminton, India's in-form men's singles shuttler Priyanshu Rajawat advances to Canada Open semi-finals.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhman Ghosh. Efforts to secure a ceasefire in Gaza have gained momentum after Hamas accepted a US proposal to begin talks on releasing Israeli hostages, while Israel says negotiations for the truce would continue into next week. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the head of Mossad intelligence agency has returned from Doha after an initial meeting with Qatari mediators, adding that negotiations will now resume next week. Netanyahu, however, asserted that there were still gaps between the two sides. Updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russian Defense Ministry has said forces have carried out group strikes with high-precision weapons and attack unmanned aerial vehicles on airfields, energy facilities and fuel storage facilities over the past week. It added Russian troops continue to advance on the front lines, taking control of several settlements in the Kharkiv region and Donetsk region. While Ukraine says its forces repelled multiple attacks as Russian army continues to intensify its offensive operations. In Porovsk, Ukrainian forces repelled 17 Russian attacks. Russia says its forces seize a part of key Ukraine town of Chasiv Yar, where Moscow has been pressing for months. Yar is near Bakhmut in eastern Ukraine. The claim from Moscow came just after Kiev said Russian strikes on the industrial city of Dnipro had killed 5 people, wounded nearly 3 dozen more, including a 14-year-old girl. In the meantime, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán called for ceasefire after talks with Putin in Moscow. DD India correspondent Dasha Cherneshova has more from Moscow.
Russian Ministry of Defense said Moscow now has the control over the Novi district in the city of Chasiv Yar in the Donetsk People's Republic. Russian armed forces have carried out 23 group strikes against military targets of Ukraine over the past week, and Moscow says Ukraine lost 1,300 soldiers over that period of time. In the meantime, Russian President Vladimir Putin said Moscow is open to a political or diplomatic solution of the conflict in Ukraine, but ruled out the possibility of a ceasefire unless serious negotiations start. He said that any pause could be used by Kiev to rearm. After the talks with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán in Moscow on Friday, he said Moscow stands for a complete and final end to the conflict. He noted that among Russian conditions is a complete withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from 4 regions Russia now claims as its own. Hungarian Prime Minister said Russia and Ukraine have very different positions. As earlier in the week he has traveled to Kiev, Orban said he discussed the shortest path to peace with Putin in Moscow. Dasha Chernysova in Moscow reporting for DD India.
Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has said NATO is helping Ukraine to prepare for joining the military alliance. He added that all the efforts are being made to make Ukraine stronger and better.
We will agree to work more closely with the Ukrainian armed forces, including at the new NATO-Ukraine Joint Analysis, Training and Education Center in Poland. We will also work together to build Ukraine's defense industry and deepen our cooperation on innovation. All the work we are doing together is making Ukraine stronger, more interoperable and better prepared than ever to join our alliance.
Some other stories. Hurricane Barel made landfall on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula after ravaging Jamaica and the Caribbean earlier in the week. It has since been downgraded, with maximum winds slowing down to 65 miles per hour as it heads towards southern Texas and the Gulf Coast this weekend. Hurricane Barel inflicted severe damage across the Caribbean, leaving a trail of destruction and at least 11 fatalities. In Jamaica, the storm caused floods, power outages, widespread devastation, leaving many homeless and communities struggling to recover. Cancun International Airport also faced disruptions, with hundreds of flights cancelled due to storm's impact. Recovery efforts are underway, but rebuilding will be challenging for the affected regions. The United Nations International Organization for Migration built a humanitarian shelter to host victims of the ruthless floods that battered South Brazil. The Canoas complex has the capacity for around 630 people, with bedrooms and spaces for laundry, refectory and personal hygiene. UN plans to open 2 more humanitarian shelters between Canoas and Porto Alegre, with a capacity of over 2,400 people. Devastating rains killed 176 people, forced around 420,000 people to leave their homes. Meanwhile, the flood situation in India's northeastern state of Assam remains critical, as over 24.2 lakh people remain affected by the floods across 30 districts. Over 47,000 inmates are taking shelter in 612 relief camps. Meanwhile, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma on Friday visited Dibrugarh, urban flood-affected areas, and took stock of the situation in the region of Kowang and Tengakhat area of Dibrugarh district. The India Met Department has issued orange alert for Assam and Arunachal Pradesh as heavy rains are expected, and yellow alert in Himalayan West Bengal, Sikkim, Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura and Nagaland. Let's now take a look at other stories making news today. Chennai police have detained 8 suspects and formed a special team to further investigate the murder of the state chief of Bahujan Samaj Party. Party workers and supporters blocked the road outside Rajiv Gandhi Government Hospital, demanded CBI inquiry into the deaths. Delhi court has extended judicial custody of Delhi's former Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia till July 15th in CBI case of excise policy case. Earlier, Rouse Avenue Court had extended his judicial custody till July 6th. Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid homage to BJP ideologue Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee on his 123rd birth anniversary on 6th July. BJP National President and Union Minister JP Nadda paid floral tributes in Delhi on the occasion. Mukherjee was the founder of Bharatiya Janasangh, the ideological parent organization of the BJP. Special prayers are being performed at Tibetan Buddhist monastery in Bodh Gaya on the occasion of Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama's 89th birthday. On to sports. Captain Shubhman Gill and Abhishek Sharma will open for India in the first T20 International against Zimbabwe on Saturday as the world champions begin their journey in the post-Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli era. The T20 World Cup hangover is still on back home, but Shubhman Gill-led side will be keen on making a mark and proving their mettle in alien conditions. All eyes will be on the young bunch that has shown a lot of promise in the IPL 2024 season. All eyes will be on the replacements for the big three, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma and Ravindra Jadeja, as they announce their T20 retirements after the World Cup triumph in Barbados last Saturday. India's informed men's singles shuttler Priyanshu Rajawat got the better of the world number 4 Andre Andersen of Denmark 21-11, 17-21, 21-19 in the quarterfinal, lasting an hour and 19 minutes to enter the semis at the Canada Open 2024 in Calgary. Earlier, he defeated world number 24 Rasmus Kemke of Denmark in round of 32 and world number 33 Takuma Obayashi in the last 16 on his way to the semi-finals. Priyanshu will now face Alex Lanier of France for a spot in the finals. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan this QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhman Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.